I come from Medford, Oregon. That's where I was born, and that's where the first owner of the car lived. His name was Herb Partridge, and the reason why I know him is because he and my dad were buddies back when they were teenagers. They both ended up in Medford around the same time, started a family, and my best friend Steve Partridge was born about 6 months after I was. We grew up together in little small town Medford, and I have a memory of when his dad Herb bought the car. We went over, I don't know if we went to visit to see the car or just to visit them, but I remember as a little kid, I was 8, 9 years old, something along those lines, seeing the Firebird in my buddy's driveway was a shock. I didn't think it was the kind of car you could drive on the streets of Medford. It just seemed like way out of context of the kind of cars that my family or folks had. So I remember the car brand spanking new in 1967. My earliest memories of being told about the car, a 67 Firebird Sprint, it was maybe a little souped up right out of the factory, and that it was rare, that only 500 of them were made. We did put an 8-track stereo in there. It's been driven cross country 4 different times, I think at least. Steve and I had agreed that we'd go to college together, come back in Oregon. His family left and had moved out to New York. I was in Arizona, and his dad gave Steve the car as a car to take into his adulthood and go to college. So we packed that car up in New York, upstate New York. We had an 8-track sound system put into it, and we drove it across the country. One of the things I remember is his dad sat down and said, "Listen, you're a couple of young punks. One of you's got long hair. You're driving a red sports car with New York license plates across the country. You're gonna get pulled over." Within the first hour of our trip, Steve said, "You want to drive? You should get used to this car. You're going to be driving a lot. You drive." So I'm driving along this nice freeway in New York. I get pulled over. And the policeman says, "We got reports of hitchhikers being picked up. And that's against the law, and I'm wondering if he's a hitchhiker." I said, "Well, he's the owner of the car, so I kind of doubt it." And he's checking out our car, and it's packed full of what kids would be taking with them to their dorms. And we realized Dad was right. We're going to get pulled over. There was no concern about hitchhikers. He just wanted to pull us over. So as careful as we tried to be on that trip, we still got pulled over a few more times. We had a great time. It's a memory that I'll remember forever. As young kids in college, and it was in great shape then, that it attracted a lot of attention from our friends. We wanted to drive it. We wanted to go for weekend trips in it. The car was so fun to drive. It was fast. It handled so well. It was like a race car to us. And, we weren't wild in that sense that we abused the car or took it up to 100 miles an hour and raced it around or anything like that. We were safe with it, but we loved driving it. And it's a sharp-looking car. The red, fire engine red. It's pretty, has great lines to it, handles really well. The transmission was always smooth, so it was an easy shift. Steve and I met back up in Eugene in 1980 to continue our college. The car, he used it somewhat regularly. You don't need a car a lot as a student around Eugene, but probably for about 5 or 6 years, I'd say in around 1986, 87, he stopped driving it and parked it in his garage and hadn't moved since. I don't ever recall him trying to get it fixed up. He passed away last summer, and it was not a point of conflict with us. I constantly encouraged him to get the car fixed up. And he wanted to, but he was frugal with his money and never did it. I'd love to have it, but it's not practical for me. And it's not mine. The memories and the photos that I have will suit me, but there's a part of me that says, boy, what a sweet ride that was.